not one specifically. I think our defense has certainly improved as the year's gone along. The pitching has really maintained itself. I think that's been the most consistent piece of our ball club since we started on day one, and they've continued to do that, and they're adding numbers to it. I like the contributions they're getting, and when you have guys like Connor Fennell, who have grown into a starter's role, and McIlvain now looking like him, I think there's a lot of hope and belief in that group. And then from an offensive standpoint, I felt like we would get better as the year progressed, and we're starting to. You got some younger guys that are starting to feel comfortable. Braden Holcomb, one of them. Brody's had his days, but he's always a threat, because if he stands in the batter's box, you're always thinking something can happen. But RJ in the last couple of weeks has been more consistent. Rigdon has really done a good job of navigating the strike zone. So he's the type of player where if you look at what he's done from a hitting standpoint over the last 2 weeks, you think, okay, that's just okay. But yet he scored 9 runs, and those 9 runs come off of hit by pitches, walks, some timely hits. He had a timely hit the other day on Sunday. So I just think as a whole we've improved, and certainly when you play those games, I mean, that's big boy baseball. You're going to Knoxville, you're playing a very good team, you're playing in elements that are difficult for a lot of teams to play in. It's a challenge. You just can't be pedestrian competitive. You better be very competitive in that environment. And I think what I liked the most is I thought the guys were calm. I thought they were settled. I thought they were smiling a lot. And I felt like they were enjoying what they were doing. And because of that, it felt like they had a chance to win. And I haven't felt that way in a while. I can honestly say that. It's not just, it hasn't felt that way in a while, but I felt like their confidence over time has risen, and we still have improving to go. We can still improve some more. I can see it. So however long we play, I know the goal is to play until the end of June, but right now the focus is still let's get better.
We also talked about that emotional roller coaster at this point in the season, and you put a lot of emphasis on keeping that middle ground. How much do you think that mentality translated to winning that Tennessee series?
A lot. I mean, you lose 3-2 on Friday night. Very good college baseball game. The right team didn't win when you're looking at it from our perspective. But yet, we didn't lose it. They won it. They made some really good plays. They pitched really well. But we pitched really well. And we had significant defensive plays every inning in that game. Whether it was the double plays, whether it was the right side shift defense, whether it was Brody going on the other side of the field, fielding the ball there, then coming back on this side of the field and fielding something there. It was the throw by Holcomb behind the runner in the first inning. So there was just a myriad of defensive plays that really put us in a good position, and we didn't really give them anything. But you had 2 left-handed pitchers who potentially will pitch in the big leagues and going at one another. So it was a low-scoring, that's an old-style SEC Friday night game. Now, to get them back on their feet again, it was simply that. It was just getting back to the middle and basically adding perspective to what happened 24 hours earlier, and then what we're going to do today to right ourselves. And the guys did. They did a good job of righting themselves and playing motion offense and putting some pressure on the opponent.
Ethan said he texted you before Game 3 that he wanted to play again. And that could go one or two ways when you're asking for more playing time. But how proud are you that you got the confidence to ask but then deliver?
Yeah, I like that because you're to your point. I mean, not everyone has the confidence or, feeling of, I'm just going to text Corbs out of the blue and tell him this. It was like, we exchanged messages earlier in the day, so it probably was a runoff of that. But at the same time, he said, "I want the ball again tomorrow." And some people can say that, but then other people, some people can't back it up. But I think for him, and we ended up winning, and the bases were loaded in the ninth. But in saying all of that, whether it was Saturday or Sunday, I felt like his demeanor and poise were a whole lot different than I've seen in him in years past. And that's going back to last year, even in good moments. It's going back to the beginning of the year when things weren't so easy for Ethan and he was trying to find himself. I feel like he's settled in. I feel like he's settled in and he's comfortable in his own baseball skin right now to where I've got this. I was making a lot of it. I was thinking about a lot of things, and hey, listen, pro guys do that. So 18, 19-year-old kids, that's easier for them to fall prey to something like that. But I think he's done a good job of just taking steps forward to right himself. He comes in here every day. He fist bumps me, and he's even doing that during the tough moments. And I appreciated that because it was like he's not doing that just because he feels good. He's doing that when it might not be as easy to enter Coach Corbin's office. But his consistency, I'm very proud of him.
That makes me want to ask a question about you, and I know we want to talk about the team, but you were asked, did you think about pulling him, and you said no. I had full confidence in him. So how much have you evolved as a coach? You've been here almost 2 decades. I mean, I'm sure your answer might have been different at the beginning. Maybe.
Well, I think what happens when you get older is your instincts for actions of kids become a little bit more clearer. You gain more clarity over what could happen, and your hunches become more based on your experiences and what you've seen. And I think when you look at older people, and I've always been a fan of getting information from people with gray hair and wrinkles, because I've always felt like their wisdom is based on what they've seen with their eyes over time, and it's not just a wild opinion. It's something that they've seen, and there's history in their life that validates that opinion. And I think, for me being 63 and having done this for 41 years and now at this level for 32 years, it's just more about the instinct that you have for kids, because really you're riding with them. You're not riding on them, you're riding with them. But when you ride with a kid, it's just based on his ability to, I think it's almost like driver education when the instructor is got the pedals and they help you out to begin with, then they no longer touch the pedals, then they get in the back seat and they just say, let's go. And I think when you get that feeling about an individual or a team, it's so rewarding, because that's the parent moment too. It's the parent moment when you as a young lady, you finally get the keys to the car and they're not talking about curfew because they trust your judgment, they trust your choices. And I think that's how you bring kids along, that's how you bring teams along. You bring them up to a point where they can start making the decisions that affect the game. And the only time you step in the way is if you feel like they're making decisions either through their actions or their thoughts that get in the way of us affecting the game in a positive way. So with Ethan, I know this for certain based on Worth Scott in 2003 when he hit the home run to beat Tennessee. I was thinking about pinch hitting for him right at that moment. Well, obviously, if I pinch hit for him, no one knows what happens, but we probably don't win. We don't win the series. We don't go to the SEC tournament for the first time in 15 years. You think about what that one non-decision meant to this program, because it leapfrogged our program. And oftentimes you don't know what your decision is going to do, but sometimes the best decision is not making one. And in that case right there, it was kind of riding with a guy that you had instinct with and you thought he could do it.
Holcomb was kind of the same thing for you, because there was games he was benched in the beginning of the season. Now he's one of your top producers on the field. What were you seeing in him that some people maybe weren't seeing in the beginning of the season?
No, just consistency.
You kept saying, I know it's coming.
Yeah, it's consistency. I mean, I remember pulling him in here and I said, listen, you know, we talked a lot about mentality and then that type of thing. And he's just such a young kid. You know, he's this big 6'5", 250-pound man, but yet